Hey y'all! So, if you have been checking out my stories today or seen anything from what I've shared previously, I have some exciting news that my proofs are here. Okay, I have to be kind of quiet because the kids are asleep in the next room. But I wanted to do a late night live because this is typically later than I usually go live. Hey, Magic Minds. And so if you are catching this on replay, let me know in the comments and add hashtag replay. And so I wanted to talk to you about some of the differences between the proofs from Amazon KDP and from Lulu. And so this was my first time using Lulu as um, a printer. I'm not using it for distribution. They do offer that as an option. Hey, Danny. And so I wanted to kind of share some of the differences between that and then also give you a sneak peek of what the inside looks like. So if you already have your copy, go ahead and add got my copy in the chat. And if you haven't, then you can visit profitableselfpublishing.com and grab a copy there. Books will ship next week. So let's kind of take it from the top. So we know, of course, Amazon KDP, good old KDP. It's kind of I want to say monopoly, but it's kind of like the big dog in the publishing industry, whether you're traditionally published or independently published. And so for me, it just makes sense to have my book on there. And so for that one, I did a black and white copy. And I'm actually going to show you, I'll do a screen share. If you're watching over on Facebook, you'll be able to see it. You won't be able to see it on Instagram, but I'll flip through so you can see it here. And so, of course, making sure that I had that as an option. But I also wanted to provide a color version for pre-order purchasers. And so this one I ordered from Lulu because they have the capability to be able to print in color without having to actually have your book be published that way. Because for the long-term version, I wanted it to be the black and white version, but do something special for the pre-order folks. So I'm gonna do a few quick run-throughs, and then we'll talk about just some of the differences that I noticed during the process, and then also during the uploading process, things like that, because it is a slight difference. And so this one's from KDP. I typically do not order proofs. I typically just go straight to author copies. I know that is probably taboo. I know that's probably like, girl, what are you doing? But that's how I roll for a few reasons. One, typically it takes Amazon a while to index your book's listing. So what that means is essentially the likelihood of it coming up, the likelihood of someone typing in your book on Amazon within the first couple days, honestly, the first week, and it actually coming up is very unlikely because it takes time for it to kind of do its thing. And so within that time, I order my author copies, I take a look at it. And also, I don't like this thing on the front. Like, I don't like having this not for sale on the front, because then that means that I could just move straight into the taking images, like boom, I can get some pictures like that because it's like for sale. And not that you can't take pictures with this one, but it just is a cleaner look. So that's one of the reasons. And so that's one of the reasons why I just moved straight to author copies, but this time I did proofs. And for Lulu, this is the feature to be able to not distribute it. So for example, on my Lulu account, I'm the only one that has access to this one. And so what that means is that, and sorry, I'm just checking something out. I don't think I'm live on my, okay, I am. Okay. Wanted to make sure. So what that means is that this is not going to distribute to Amazon. Lulu does have the option to send it. However, because I only wanted to do the black and white version on Amazon, I didn't send it there. So let me know if that makes sense. And then as you have questions, drop them in the chat and I'll be happy to answer them either on live or on replay. I want to share this to the group because I want to make sure people can see that. And if you are not already in the Sell More Books group, then definitely join. It's over on Facebook. All right, now, so just to kind of flip through, and I'm going to use my teacher, back in the day, teacher where you got to read the book this way, and it's kind of, okay. We have to read the book this way and kind of hold it so people can see. So just from visually, the spacing on this one, you'll notice is different, and I'm going to cover my face for a second for you all to see that. You'll notice the spacing is different. You also notice the colors are a bit different. Lulu uses RGB, and then Amazon uses CMYK, and that is a difference in terms of printing. So just notice the printing profile is a little different on that purple at the top and profitable. And then also just in general, they're the same size. However, the spacing for both of them, sorry, I'm trying to line them up, is different. So like you'll notice the difference in the blue bar, and then there's a little bit more space here. So I'm going to have my designer shift this. And the same person designed the cover for Amazon and Lulu. So I wanted to make sure that they formatted it for both of them and designed it for both of them. So I'll have them kind of make the adjustment here. And then on the back cover, just to kind of, so first I'll show you the Lulu version. And I didn't add a barcode on this one just yet. And honestly, I don't have to add a barcode because this one is exclusive for pre-order folks, so they're not even going to be able to have this as an in-store experience, and that just shows you the KDP one. So once again, you'll notice that same difference of the adjustment of the spacing on there. Okay, now when you go inside the book, of course, the differences will be there in different colors, but just to kind of do a flip through for it. And I'll do a digital flip through with the formatted copy, but just I want to do a flip through for you all so you can just see some of the contents of the book. And so I'm just randomly picking a few pages. You can take a look. And so I really tried to make sure I included different charts and graphs and items throughout, so that way it is interactive and helpful and getting down to the nitty gritty with the numbers. So just in black and white, it looks amazing. I love how it was formatted, but I want to show you all the color because that's the one that's my favorite. So if you want to see the color one, drop color in the chat. So this one I decided to do the standard color. And so you can kind of see it there. And I went with the same colors that are on the cover for uniformity. And then, so for each of the sections, I chose one of those three colors. So you'll notice that. And then, so the first section talks about preparing. This is the navy. And then that blue. And so I may also test out the premium color because just to kind of see. And honestly, people are not even expecting any color. So this is just a fun bonus that I included because to me, it's just more visual. Let me turn this way. It's just more visually stimulating to be able to see in color. And it's more fun. But obviously, you don't have to do that. Now, when you think about your books, this is something that I included as a pre-order bonus to be able to have it in color. And people didn't even know that. They just found that out later. And it was something that I was able to do that didn't necessarily take a ton of extra effort, but it can make a big impact. And so it's also something that can drive sales so people can be more encouraged, like, oh, I might want to get the color copy. So if you want to get a color copy, then go ahead and grab yours at profitableselfpublishing.com because I'll only offer those on my site. And then it also just helps to be able to do things such as to highlight my frameworks that I've included and to just make it more visually stimulating for the reader. Okay, let me check the chat and make sure I don't have any questions. Okay, I think we're good. Okay. Oh, hey, Andrea. Thanks for tuning in. All right, so I want to talk to you about the process from Lulu versus Amazon KDP. Now, I did the visual overview, but just in terms of the upload process, if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube or LinkedIn, you'll be able to see this on your screen in just a second. But as far as the upload process, if you've done Amazon KDP, you're familiar with that. If you haven't, then you can check out the videos that I have on my YouTube. And I will actually sign off of Instagram. So if you're watching on Instagram, head on over to Facebook. You can either watch at Ashley D. Shepherd or inside the Facebook group, just because some of this is going to be screen sharing and it won't be as helpful to you. So actually, you can still listen. You can log on. It's up to you. Okay. Just letting you know ahead of time. So with it, it's important to really think about your goals and your purposes. And I want to talk about that for a second while I switch screens. So when you're deciding what platform you want to publish with, you want to think about what is the point or the purpose for you. And so for me, I knew that I wanted to have kind of a surprise for my audience, for them to be able to have something that was unexpected, and for them to be able to just see something extra that they might not have had an opportunity to have before. And so with that, to me, just doing a different version of the book was helpful. Or I'm sorry, different print of the book was helpful because in that way they still get to have the same book. However, they just get something that's a little nicer. And so drop a 1 in the comments if you can see the screen share. Hey, Essie, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate your support. So if you are able to see my screen, let me know. And so with this, I'm just going to review what it looks like when you upload your book on Amazon KDP to just kind of show you the contrast between this option and Lulu. And so this is just inside of KDP. Remember, this is the black and white version. This is the one that most people will have as they are viewing the book futuristically, as opposed to those who are going to get the color copy when they are on when they ordered during the period before I put it on Amazon. And so just kind of standards, you can just see, it gives you the trim lines, you can see where it's going to be cut and things like that. And so just like a difference in the pictures versus like, okay, this is on page 8. So if you were to look at that versus like in the color version, it's just like, okay, come on now. It just looks so much more fun. And this is actually a picture from my first book launch party back in September 2020. So got some lipstick on that. Okay, so that's just kind of giving you a run through. Now from the Lulu version, you have the option to do standard and premium color just like Amazon, and I'll talk about pricing as well, because obviously if you're printing in color, it's more expensive. And so I had to make sure that I accounted for that cost within my pre-orders. And because I bundled my book launch with a coaching program with additional products and services, then I was able to make sure I could cover those things. Now, of course, you don't want to offer people prints in color if you haven't actually calculated the cost. So please be sure to make sure you do that. So on Lulu, you have those options. I did standard color just to check it out. I might toy with a premium color. It will adjust your pricing greatly. So for reference, on Amazon, it's about $3.70, I want to say, to print this. And it's about 220 pages. And then on here, this one was $10.99. Oh, let me finish having this render. Let me refresh this. Okay, so they have the option on Lulu to also let you pick your paper weight. And for those of you that don't know, I used to actually do wedding invitations and event decorations back in the day with my sister. I had a paper crafting business called Palmetto Peaches, and so paperweight is like a thing for me, but it's basically how thick the paper is. And so Amazon chooses anywhere between, I want to say, 50 to 70 pound paperweight, and they choose for you based upon the type of book that you upload. Other platforms will allow you to pick the paperweight. I did the basic one because this is not like a children's book or a comic book or anything like that. And then they also have different options. You can do coil, it's very expensive, a hardcover, paperback, paper, or perfect bound. And then they have a linen wrap as well for hardcover. So, and then of course you can pick your glossy and matte. And so, like I said, for the color copy for the standard, it was $10.99. And then I'm going to show you the preview for that. And so once it finishes normalizing. All right, let's see. Essie said color is cute but expensive for real. Exactly right. Like, it's something where hold on, it's not done. Let me refresh. It's something where you're like, oh, this is really cute, but this is really expensive. And so if you're doing a pre-order, it is kind of nice to have that as an option. Or if you do an exclusive print run, then you can do that, because then that way you have. I was trying to put your comment on screen. Let me bring it back. I made it too small. You could do an exclusive print run for colors, and then actually do it like a pre-order. So let's say your book is already available and you want to kind of revive it. So let's say you want to do like for Mother's Day, for example. If your book is for moms, then you could do something where you allow it to be like a special edition for that time period. And then that way the customer is able to cover those costs. You can pre-order it, and then it's kind of like handled that way, because yes, color is expensive, but it looks so cool. So here's the preview inside of Lulu of what it looks like when you are doing the display, so you can kind of check and see what it looks like. And so you can actually choose which kind of lines you want to have on or off. So let's say you didn't want to have the bleed on there, and bleed is where it extends past the page. So because I have this bar on this page and additional pages, then it just is, it's there as well. And so you can turn that off of what you want to have on there where it folds, so that way you get a good visual of what it is. Hey, thanks for tuning in. I'm talking about the differences between Lulu and Amazon KDP for printing proofs. If you want to get the visuals, then head on over to my Facebook and you can watch there. All right, so just kind of standard process. You can see what it looks like throughout with Lulu. The only thing I didn't like about this Lulu upload process is that I did have issues with some of the photographs being a lower PPI on Lulu, and it just gave me an error message, and it just said some of your photos are too low of a PPI, but they didn't actually tell me which photos they were. And on Amazon KDP, when you have issues, hey Jenny, it will tell you it'll tell you what page it's on. So like, for example, if I had any issues, I would get some kind of signal over here, and it would show, hey, on page blah blah blah, this has an issue. So I didn't like that on Lulu because it doesn't tell you exactly where the error is. And because I have so many pictures in the book, because I wanted to make it very visual, I'm thinking, okay, there's pictures all throughout, so now I have to check every single picture. But thankfully, my designer was good about it, and she helped me to figure out which pictures it was. And so it happened to just be two. So that's one drawback with Lulu if you're using it for that. One benefit that I liked from Lulu over other options is that you can actually do just like on Ingram Spark, where you can make it just for you to print. Whereas on Amazon KDP, you can't do that. So if you wanted to just print a book where you didn't want it to be distributed through the platform, you don't have that option on Amazon KDP. You only have that option on Ingram Spark and Lulu. As well, Lulu also sends and connects directly to your personal website. So let's say you don't want to sell your books through Amazon, you can use their option. It's called Lulu Direct, and you can have it distribute to your website. So if your website's on Wix or other platforms, you can use their direct connection. Or they also have an API, which is like a fancy way of saying, and I don't even know what it sounds. I don't even know what API stands for, but basically a fancy way to connect your site to Lulu. So that way, when someone orders a copy of the book, Lulu will fulfill it for you. So you don't have to actually manually do the fulfillment. So that's a great option to complete with the pre-orders. All right. I will also say the margins on Lulu seemed like they were a little bit thicker than on KDP, but I sent my formatter the template, and she was able to get that done. So just download the template. Now, as far as shipping time, things like that, KDP's arrived faster. So I ordered the proof for KDP the day after I ordered the proof for from Lulu, and it arrived the day before. So the shipping time was faster, which that's kind of just a thing. Amazon is kind of known for their shipping, as we know. And for me, that wasn't as big of a deal because they arrived within a day of each other, so that wasn't like a huge problem for me. But just something to be mindful of. I will say though, however, Lulu gives the option of 4 or 5 different shipping speeds, which in recent years we've seen that on KDP. You don't have that option to be able to say, oh, I want to expedite this. If you're doing an author copy, they've taken it away sometimes. I've seen authors say that it's not even available to them. Previously, they used to let you expedite the shipping, even though you can't expedite the printing. But on Lulu, there were 4 or 5 different options of where I could say, okay, I want to make sure I get this in 2 days or 3 days after it's printed. And so that was nice. I did the fastest one, and it was $23 to expedite it, which is not terrible if you're on a tight crunch or a tight timeline. The slowest one I want to say was between like 5 and 7 days. So just kind of some points of reference there. And then as far as printing, you may not know this, but for KDP, you can actually look in the back of your book, and there will be a barcode there that tells you where the book was printed. And so I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, and my books get printed in South Carolina, in Columbia, South Carolina. You don't have that in Lulu in their option. You just have kind of a blank glass page. However, oh, sorry, that's not a blank glass page. That was the shipping insert. I just had the last. No, I'm sorry. It is a blank glass page. It was stuck. But they did tell me that when I was checking out that it was shipped from Massachusetts. So that can be kind of a sticky part with KDP for the simple fact of there's so much variance when you're doing print on demand because you don't. Like your books are shipped one or printed one place, but if somebody orders your book from somewhere else, it's going to be printed wherever their printer is for KDP. So, for example, I have an author client. She's in Maryland, and I ordered an author copy of her book to check it out, and mine printed in South Carolina. Her author copies print in Maryland, so that individual printer is going to have slight different variations, and so you might notice some adjustments in color or things like that. That's pretty standard with print on demand. The only way to get around that is to do a bulk print order with an offset printer. So that might be something like you see overseas or somebody local, things like that. So as I said earlier, if you have any questions, drop those in the comments and let me know and I'll answer them. But overall, between the two options, and I will say I have a third option because I did order from English Spark, so I'll touch on that in another video. um, but overall, from the options, I see the benefits of using both. So with Amazon KDP, I have the option to do the scheduled release feature, which means that I picked my release date of when it's going to be available for people to purchase on Amazon. So it's not a pre-order. You can't do physical copy pre-orders on Amazon. You can only do ebook copies of orders on Amazon unless you're doing the workaround, um, meaning sending it through Ingram Spark, having it distribute there, or doing Amazon Sellers or Amazon Advantage. So for the fact of being able to schedule the release, I like Amazon KDP for that point, because then I can say, okay, I want it to be available on this day after I've adjusted it so that people who get their color copy from the pre-order, that way they have theirs, or that way I've at least shipped it to them so that they can have it. Oh, that's a very colorful picture, so they can at least have it. And then I can say, okay, I want to go ahead and make that released. And that's a feature that they've changed within the last couple years. Previously, when you would publish your book on Amazon KDP, you didn't have the option of being able to select your release date. And so you would just have to put it up and then just wonder, wish, hope, and pray that it would show up on the day you wanted it to show up. Now, there are some stipulations with scheduled release. You can only make changes within a certain time frame before the actual release. They cut it off and let you know, hey, you only got 5 more days before you can make changes, or you can make changes up until this day, or you can actually change the release date. And so right now I have it as sometime in May, but I'm going to change that obviously as I get closer to the time of when I'm okay with it being up on Amazon KDP. Now with the Lulu option, you can have it distribute to Amazon. And so that means if somebody orders on Amazon, it'll go to Lulu and then they will ship it. You also have the option of being able to put it on your own website and then having people order from your site. They don't really notice the difference. They'll just get it delivered to them through Lulu Direct. And of course, Lulu would take a percentage. And then same thing, just like Amazon KDP, they take a percentage of your book as well. Now, in terms of print costs, I didn't actually compare the print costs for black and white with Lulu, but let me do that right quick. Let's see and see if it'll just tell me. They do also include, if you're doing just black and white interior print on Lulu, they do also include another option of coated paper, but only for black and white, not for color. So let me just run through and see. And I say that just because you really want to compare and see the difference. So for example, like I said, on Amazon KDP, my book was $3.70, I believe. And then here on Lulu for black and white, it's $7. So there is a difference between them. However, it just depends on your personal preference. It depends on whether you're personally conflicted with things that are happening with Amazon, or whether you want a higher print quality, because from what I have seen and what I've heard on the interwebs and what I've seen personally, Lulu's print quality does seem to be superior to Amazon KDP, and that's just kind of the name of the game. So, all right, let me check the chat. Let's see. Okay. All right, Essie said it does give that exclusive feel. Good idea. Yep. So she's talking about the printing in color, and it does. And sometimes you just want to do something a little bit different. And so I know that I will be marking this up and adding some sticky flags of different pages that I want to go back to and refer to as I'm sharing with my content. So I want to make sure I cover everything that I wanted to discuss. But if you're watching this on replay, let me know by adding hashtag replay in the chat. If you haven't gotten your copy of the book, then visit profitableselfpublishing.com. And then pre-order folks will get their books first. If you've already pre-ordered the book, then you should have received the digital version last week, which is another bonus that I threw in as a thank you for folks who ordered during the pre-order process. Hey, Courtney. And then if you haven't gotten it, let me know, and I will make sure you get your copy. And then if you haven't ordered it, then definitely go ahead and order it. If you're thinking, I want to wait till it gets on Amazon KDP and support there, totally fine. I will, of course, keep you all posted on that as well. All right, so I am done. I'm going to go dig into my book and read it. And just wanted to share that. Thank you so much for your support. For anybody who has been on this process with me, this has been a long time coming. And it just feels different. It just feels like this is going to be something big. It's been big. But this just feels a little different. This is my first book that I've written for authors. And so it's one of those things where I did have a little bit of imposter syndrome, of which, by the way, I've seen that imposter syndrome is spelled ER or OR, and both of them are acceptable. And so I don't know if in English we're just going to allow both. But anyway, So you'll see it spelled OR in here because when I looked it up the first time, that's what it said. But I had a little bit of imposter syndrome that I was working through and really just navigating it, even though I have supported authors for years with their books. I have supported them with pre-orders, which is the focus of this book, How to Have a Profitable Pre-Order. And I had to really just get myself in check and be like, girl, look, you already do this work. You have already done the work. And so now it's time to help other people to be able to do their work. And really encapsulating all of that, the 4 to 5 years of experience with specifically pre-orders in a book, definitely took some time and energy and effort. And it's something where you have to really remember, like, if you're already doing the thing, going back to the imposter syndrome, if you're already doing the thing, putting it in a book is just like a formality, just so that you can just be like, oh, here's a book. Go ahead and read this. You want to know how I did a 4-figure, 5-figure pre-order? Oh, here, just read the book. Like, it makes it accessible to people. It makes it something where people are not able to afford the higher ticket packages, or they're not able to sign up for a VIP day with me, or if they're like, I just want to kind of test you out before I make that level of investment, then it's there. And so I appreciate the way in which this has rolled out, and I appreciate all of you for your support. So I hope you have a great rest of your day, and thanks so much for tuning in.